Colin, good to see you as always. It's safe to say we're perhaps in calmer circumstances than when we last spoke. It seems a while ago now, but response was good there. Were you pleased with how that was received?
Yeah, as you know, it's probably the only time we've ever looked at the film and said, shall we, shan't we? And I think we decided to go ahead with it. Most people have accepted it, passionate and strong in my opinions and views, but certainly it's been a favourable response, and I think that's what we wanted.
It feels like a while because a lot's been going on. We're here, the pitch is looking fantastic at the moment, management team working feverishly.
Yeah.
Their job is tougher, I suppose, because of how well we did last year, having lost a few players. How do you sort of assess that?
Yeah, it's the nature of being successful, isn't it? It's what happens. People are looking over your fence when you've got a good team and you play the way that we play. We said that all along. We know we're not going to hold on to the manager because that's going to be the way as well. I know he was linked with a good job this morning, and that's just the way it is when you're doing well. And unfortunately, we're not in a position that we can tie these players down to long contracts, and they have every right to move on if they get better opportunities. And so, the likes of Elton and Arthur moving on to the Football League sends the message out to the people that come here. Get your chance and we'll help you on with your career. That was what always we said, but people need to remember the likes of Zane, Elton, Arthur, Crosby. Good grief, I bet there would be 8 players that we actually trialled. We brought them in on trial, and that's the depth of contacts that we've got. And today, first day of pre-season, with 13 trialists, as well as another 18 of our own there. So not 18 of our 15 of our own, but we will be going through the same process again. I know everybody's a little bit disturbed and a little bit worried about the calibre of player that we've lost, but we found those players, we developed them, we moved them on, and we know the process, and we'll do it again. Disappointed about certainly Tony Cliff. I can't say that hasn't disappointed me. It has. I think he's made a mistake. I think in another 30-40 games and we would definitely have been going to the Football League, because that's how much he's come on. But this time last year, Tony wasn't even in the running. We were considering releasing him. So that's, again, credit to the management and the management team for giving a player an opportunity, but also helping him develop to become one of the better defenders in our league, certainly. And obviously goes with our blessing, although I think he's made a mistake. I really do.
You mentioned Elton as well. Obviously he hasn't sorted out his next move as yet, but you're fairly confident.
I'm pretty sure that he has.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that he has. I think he's going to League One as well as Arthur. And they brought great excitement down here, and they were a massive part of what we did last year. So yeah, they go with our blessing. Arthur and Elton came in on 150 quid. Both kicking the heels, we know where to go. So they've been great servants to the club, and the first results we'll be looking out for is theirs and what they do next season. We're really excited for great lads, and we want to give the opportunity to other lads like them.
The management team, as is their way, just keen to get on with what they have got to work with, and looking at recruiting. They're very big on having a no excuse culture, so the fact that they've lost a few now not really of interest to them, is it? I suppose they're just pushing ahead with what they've got.
They never look back. They never look back in everything they do. And from the final whistle against Chorley, that was it. That was right. Next year we get this right. Identify the weaknesses, identify where we could have been better, and recruit with that knowledge that we have to be stronger in certain characteristics and certain elements of the game, and in certain positions of the team. So that's the way they are. That's what they're about. I mean, every yard of pre-season's been planned. They're at Lillishall for 2 weeks. That's what they wanted. They wanted that closed shop environment, that we get our methods across to the players that are coming over. And we've got some great people come over who could have actually signed for clubs, but said, no, if I've got a chance to sign for Kidderminster, I want to come and prove myself, which is fantastic for us. But that's the reputation we've got now. Now we've got to go and identify where we can be better. That's our job. Let's not kid ourselves. It was brilliant last season. It was fantastic to watch, and we had great times, and we were kind of successful, but we weren't ultimately successful. And we want to be successful.
That's going to be even harder to do this time round, isn't it?
I agree. Yeah, it is. You know, we're coming up against people whose budgets seem to be infinitely bigger than ours. Salford now, it seems they've opened the purse strings up, and Harrogate have done the same, and Stockport are doing the same, and Darlington don't want to go through what they've gone through this year, and you know, that's just a name but a few. Then you've got York coming down, and so yeah, it's a tough, much tougher league than it was last year. But we weren't ready. If we'd have been ready, then we would have got points at Stalybridge, we'd have got points at Brackley and at points at FC United, and you know, these are the areas where we just needed to be a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser. Some of the boys that have stayed on this year that, you know, were young boys now will become more experienced, and they'll add value to the team. Certainly the manager's going to be more experienced. Let's not forget it was his first season in management last year. So he's going to be better for the experience, and last year was a kind of finger in the air with regards to what the level of player is. He knows that inside out now, so when he sees people presented in front of him, he'll know whether they can be Kidderminster Harriers players or not, whereas he didn't last year. You know, so we're in a much stronger place than we were last year, but we've got a few areas of the team that we do need to strengthen, but we're working very hard on it. We know what we're doing. We know what we're doing, as much as there might be a little bit of panic out there about the players, the calibre of players we lost, but let's be honest about it, nobody knew who they were before they came here anyway.
And of course I can see on a day-to-day basis, and people here at the club are aware of that work that's ongoing, but public facing, I suppose, in the absence up until Kieran Keane this week of those signings being out there, I guess one or two do sort of panic about what's going to be coming in.
Of course Kieran, you know, they will say to me, do we want to wait till we get a headline? No, we're proud of every player that comes to the football club. Kieran's 20 years of age, but it doesn't make any difference to me, and I've had this in 19 years of running a sports management business. Well, what we'll do, Col, is we're going to bring a big name in before we actually announce this. Like, what difference does that make? A load of nonsense. So basically, you want the public to think that you've got a handle on everything. Listen, we've got a handle on things, don't worry. So we will announce players as we sign them, not just we'll hold one back and just announce him after we've named that big name one. That's a load of nonsense, and I've seen it for years. So, oh God, is that what we're going to sign? No, but that's the one we've secured at the moment, and he's a very exciting prospect. He was up at V9, I loved him. I was up there for 3 days myself. I watched every one of the players, and I'm thinking, God, dear me, there's some talent here. And so, you know, listen, hitting the headline of the multi-million-pound signing before you announce the free transfer is a load of nonsense. The players are coming in because everybody's at a level, and we feel that they will do a remarkable job for the club. And
he had a good season in this league last year, but what came across to me when we spoke was his keenness to come here and have a real crack at it here. That's represented across the squad.
You know what he brings? He brings end product. And I love Zane, but at the end of the day, he's the only goal player that didn't score for us last season, and his assists was pretty low. End product, you know, that's what he brings, and he's got raw pace, and he's got a fantastic determination. So, you know, I'm looking that he gets into the same positions that we got into last season, that we do find a centre forward, that we do pick the man out in the box, that we do create a goal scoring opportunity rather than hitting the first man. That's what we want. And you know, so these things have identified. We're looking, honestly, the managers and guards are nuts on this end product, the stats that support the end product. And that's what we'll be looking to do. And I love Elton to pieces, but you could argue that for the chances he created, the chances that he got, he should have got as many goals as Arthur, if not more. But he didn't. So, you know, end product. You know, whereas Trussy plays in the same position, as a year older now. He was nearly one of our top scorers from probably single-figure games started. You know, so it's about end product at the end of the day. I think the game is still keep the ball out the net one end and put it in the net the other.
Alarmingly simple.
Alarmingly simple. You know, so that's what it's about, and that's what we've got to be working on this year. We should have put teams to bed last year with the possession. Our possession stats in games would have been 75-80% in games, and some of those games we lost. Really, that shouldn't happen. That should not happen. So that's what we're looking at.
Let's move off the field. A lot of exciting things happening here, and I keep saying that, but it's because it's true. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, some of that will start to emerge. Do you think?
Yeah, well, yeah. We're doing. There's a lot of big developments going on. There's a lot of work and effort and energy been put into them. We want to make big announcements to all of our stakeholders, really, supporters, sponsors, everybody, and let them know know exactly what the club's about, and what we're up to, and where we're looking to take the club in the next 5-10 years. And I think we are in a position to do that now. But obviously, with everybody coming back in, we want to get that properly organised. But we will be making very big announcements that will be to the benefit of the whole town, the whole community, not just this small little ground that we play on at the moment. It will be based on how we can help our own community.
And typically the club best served not only in achieving that future, but whilst it's doing that, over the course of this season and next season, still being competitive and progressive on the field too.
We have to be, we want to compete, and that's what we promised. And when the manager came in, that's what we promised, that we'd be competitive. And I don't think anybody actually had us down for also being so entertaining to watch. And that's the beauty, being at the club most days when season tickets come in. They just want to talk about what a brilliant season they've enjoyed watching, and that's great. But we're moving on. That's the way we're going to continue to play. But now we need to learn to make that more productive. That's what we need to be able to do. That's not a change in style. That's probably, that's going to be a development with regards to how do we create more opportunities and score more goals, and we keep them out still at the other end.
Smashing. DVD's well worth a watch for free, isn't it?
The DVD, is going to be absolutely well worth a watch as a reminder for what we did and what we're about and how far we've come. But we've got a long, long way to go. A long, long way to go.